Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of season 4 of the Brown Gold Sky podcast. Today, because it's International Women's Month, and by the time you hear this, it should be International Women's Day, we thought that it would be a good idea to have a discussion about women in the workplace, just things that we've struggled with, things we didn't expect, and just like things that need improving, basically. But before we do, good morning, Amber. Hello, good day. How are you? What are you drinking? I assume coffee because it's 7:30 in the morning.
Good morning. I'm actually having water. I ran out of coffee. And when you do it, I know, when you do your monthly shop and you buy like your pantry items, your cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
I bought everything except coffee. And every morning when I go to the kitchen, I'm shocked that there's no coffee. And I just don't buy coffee. So I'm just sitting here drinking water, and I'll probably get like Seattle when I leave the house later. But I'm feeling like I need caffeine ASAP.
Okay.
Please tell me you at least are having coffee.
I mean, I'm definitely having coffee. That's like my first thing. I have coffee while I work out as well. No, it's a must. You do know there's like delivery apps now, right?
I know, but it's so early. I can't order
yes,
now.
you're right.
And I did my big shop on Checkers 60/60 anyway, but I still forgot the coffee. So it's just
okay.
So you are clearly way more awake than I am because you've worked out and you've had coffee. I've been sitting up in bed working with just room temperature water. So that's damn sad.
Well, fun times. Okay. Well, you say you've been sitting up working, Amber. Let's talk about women in the working world. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. I'm gonna say something I never thought about. I mean, I suppose we were young, so you don't realize these things are happening. I just didn't realize how much we'd have to like actually fight for a place at the table or like just fight to get our voices heard. That I think is I've just jumped like straight into the topic now. That I think is one of the biggest things for me and one of the biggest struggles. But I mean, you've also been a part of this working world for almost a decade now.
Oh God.
What are some of the biggest realizations that you've come to as a woman in the corporate world?
The biggest one that I honestly I never thought I'd say this, is that I do not want to be a hashtag girl boss. Like I just, I don't want to do it. I feel like it started with really good intention with women who really wanted to break the mold for those who wanted to be in corporate, who wanted to be entrepreneurs, their own bosses, etc. But I really think it's taken on like that hustle culture where it's like constant working, constant pushing. I don't feel like that kind of lifestyle leaves a lot of room for like personal time or just regrouping, just resting.
Yeah.
So for a lot of my career, I've been trying to girl boss. So like working super late, be like putting your hand up all the time to do extra work, which is great to an extent, but it shouldn't always be the case. You shouldn't always be giving 110% when it leaves little room for you as yourself outside of work. So that's been my number one thing. What's yours?
I think just quickly on what you said, I think I still want to be a girl boss, or I still want to be an entrepreneur. Like I can feel that there is this thing inside me that wants to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what, and I don't know how.
Do you think it maybe stems more from like a desire to have freedom in your career more than you want to like hustle and earn millions, or is it a bit of both?
It's definitely not the hustle and the earn millions thing. At no point when I imagine myself being an entrepreneur do I imagine myself living a life of of riches and whatever comes with it. I think I just like the idea of like running my own company and even if it's like the world's smallest company, it's just me and my dogs every day as the employees, or every month as the employees of the month. I don't know. I think I like the idea of it. I like the thought of like the organization behind it. I don't know, but I don't want to at least eventually I wouldn't want to like still be working late and long hours. I'd want to, have a team that like does that for me. So in my mind, I still want to be a girl boss, but not a hustling one. I want to be a lazy girl boss.
I hear you.
Um,
A balanced girl boss.
a balanced girl boss. That's true. A balanced girl boss. So like that is still on my list of things I want to do before I retire, which is a long time away. A long time away.
And do you think that's always been a dream of yours, or has it just been you realizing as you are like working in corporate, like throughout your career, like, no, I don't want to be in this position?
It hasn't always been a dream of mine. Look, we didn't know it was actually possible to run your own company. When you're young, you're told, and not like outright, but society subtly tells you that the path is you go to school, you go to university or to college, you study something, and then you join the working world. I honestly just imagine myself working in a cubicle in like some corporate company, like the office vibes. And I didn't like think that entrepreneurship was a thing. I don't know when I realized that I could and I'd want to. It was after varsity. It was definitely in my working world life. I think it's when I started to realize, oh, there's freelancers, oh, there's this, oh, there's that. And also it's a result of I wouldn't say there's a big movement, but there's a movement to encourage young people to, if they aren't going to university, or if they aren't going, or even if they are, to look into entrepreneurship and like starting their own business. And I think it's just the last couple of years, just hearing more and more people talk about like starting their own businesses and like venturing out on their own, that I've thought about it. And I mean, I feel like just 2 episodes ago, I was like, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my career. And now I'm sitting here saying, I still want to start my own company. So maybe that's the rest of my career.
And I think that's a great idea. I think a lot of people, certainly me, I was never aware of the actual opportunity that there was. I always thought that I didn't know that the idea of like a market, and the market is so big and there is space for everyone. To me, that just it didn't occur to me ever until I saw people around me being freelancers, people breaking away from agencies. I was working at to start their own agencies. And I used to think, what the hell are you doing? Oh my God, how are you going to get clients? And there's enough space for everybody. There really is. So even if you don't go into traditional PR in the sense that we do it, there's still so much space in communication and in marketing.
I think I want to be in like communication. Like, so for me, like I like the work that goes into preparing for this podcast. So like the pre-recording, the recording, the editing, and then the loading and like writing the notes and all of that. And so I like that and I enjoy that process. I should maybe give myself more time to do the process, but I enjoy it a lot. And I feel pulled in that. I don't want to say called, but that's a very strong word. Like I feel like people are called to a vocation, like teaching and nursing and being a priest. But no, I feel pulled in that direction. So I want to explore that a little bit. And I am going to work with Selena, who was on our first episode of the season. I am going to work with her and just maybe like plot something for myself, and we'll see how far that goes. But
I think that's a great idea. I do see you in like a producer kind of role.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I think I've known I've wanted to do that for a long time. Like even before I joined Irvine Partners, I've always wanted to be. If you watch Morning Glory, it doesn't sound as like porno as the
It sounds very porno. I have not watched it.
It's a Rachel McAdams movie, and she is basically on a breakfast show, or she produces, like American TV has all like these breakfast talk shows and stuff. And she produces a breakfast talk show. And like I've always imagined myself as Rachel McAdams in Morning Glory. I mean, the name is unfortunate, but yeah.
It's so unfortunate.
But yeah,
But
so
maybe I'll watch that. I love Rachel McAdams.
that is a lovely movie. You'd enjoy it. As a communication specialist, you'd enjoy the movie.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just a little tip from this episode, watch Morning Glory. Wow. Okay, I'm going to move along from that. And I'm going to say, look, in Cape Town especially, I don't know what it's like in Joburg. Starting your own business as a person of color is a daunting thing, especially if you're in our field, because it's very much who you know. And I'm going to say, because it's a Women's Month episode, that white men like dominate this industry. And it's frustrating and it's annoying. So we'll see, Amber. We'll see, because, it's still a man's world.
Speaking of like it's still a man's world, besides that very glaring issue in comms, what else do you feel is an issue that you didn't expect to encounter? Like, because we are in like a modern kind of era where women have more autonomy, like what is one thing you thought you wouldn't have to deal with?
So I'll tell you, it's not something that I necessarily have to deal with personally, but a lot of women do have to deal with it. It's the judgment that comes with needing time off to take care of your family.
Woo! Lord, yes.
And if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of that responsibility falls on women as the mothers in the house, if you are in that conventional kind of relationship. And there's a lot of like judgment that comes with it, and there's a lot of like missed opportunities that happen as a result of it. For example, I feel like I'm dominating this episode. For example, let's say you're a mom, and now it's your child's PTA meeting, or your child is sick, or you just have to go on because your child has a soccer tournament or whatever it is. You then leave at 3:00 because you must miss traffic, or you have to pick up your child at 3:30 and just get them somewhere. You then miss opportunities to also like network with the bosses after work, or network with line managers, or network with people who could potentially have a positive influence on your career and helping you move forward. So for me, it's like that is still like such a glaring thing, and I haven't experienced that because I haven't really had to do that. I don't, as a stepmother, I don't carry a lot of that responsibility like the biological parents in the boy's life. Obviously, I help out wherever I can and whenever needed, but I don't have to like rush them to the doctor because their parents do that. But for me, that's it. What is the biggest thing that you feel like you still face as a woman in this modern society?
I don't know why I said modern. It sounds so weird. I actually can't think of one big thing, but the children thing you messaged, God, the children thing you mentioned, I fully agree with, because I've seen colleagues of mine go through that, not at my current job, but at a previous place that I used to work. And it was so unfair. Well, I felt it was just so unfair the way she was treated. But that leads me to thinking about like mental health. A huge thing. And this isn't just about women, but women are, I think, more so affected because a lot of the time you already have to portray a certain level of like pleasantness in the workplace.
Yeah.
And that is, oh my God, now I'm just like jumping topic to topic, but this is also another thing. I didn't expect to have to be so pleasant in the workplace. Like, I remember, I'll never forget, there was one time I had a client meeting and I had a director with me, a male director, and I was sitting in the meeting. It was quite a serious meeting. So I was like taking notes, I was asking questions. And then as we left, he was like, I think you should really smile more in kind of meetings. And I was like, are you joking? So just, I honestly never ever thought I'd have to portray the sort of like typical or stereotypical feminine, like we're in a serious We are planning things. Must I sit there smiling? I'm going to look like an insane person keeping eye contact for an hour, smiling at this man. Like, why would I have to smile? There were other men there, other colleagues of mine that were there that were men. They weren't told to smile. Why must I smile?
Oh, I hate that. And I mean, it's such a, it's such a cliche because,
It's such a cliche.
oh man. Okay. Well, let's just talk about things that still need to be improved upon. Maybe not asking women to have to smile.
Yeah, don't ask people to smile ever, ever.
I've been writing a lot of like blogs and posts on this for our freelance clients. So I think that things that can be improved upon is that maybe just hire more women in like management positions. I feel that companies love to say, oh, look at all these women and look at all these like brown women or black women in our company, but then they're all in like admin. Not that there's anything wrong with admin whatsoever, but they are.
There's no balance. There's no balance.
There's no balance. Like, and everyone that's in management is still male and white, most likely.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also, just going back to the girl boss thing, like a few women that I've seen, like internalize that misogyny that sometimes comes into play with girl bossing.
Yes.
And I feel like because of that, a lot of the empathy goes out the window when it comes to relating to other women in the workplace. And I just feel like when we do have women in those positions of power or influence where, they make sure that everyone's being treated fairly, I do think that, they need to also exercise that sensitivity towards parents. Like, so I do think that we need to have that sensitivity to people with children or women with children, because like you said, the bulk of the responsibility does fall on them. If a kid is sick, 90% of the time they're going to say, please call my mom,
Yes.
So that's what I think should be improved upon. And I mean, the obvious things are, giving people access to like their leave days. Like if someone says I need a mental health day, like let them do that. Like we get so many sick days. I don't know about you, but I hardly ever use my sick days up. I feel like we should feel more confident as women to say, I'm feeling a bit low this week. Can I take a day off later in the week just to focus on mental health and have it, count as a sick day? I feel like we should feel comfortable enough to do that,
That is 100% true. I feel, yes, I feel like we need to allocate a certain amount of sick days maybe just to mental health, or allocate a certain amount of mental health days outside of sick days would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be living the life. But
I actually watched this TikTok. Wasn't a South African woman, but it was a UK woman who has mental health issues, and she started at a new job. In this scenario, it was 3 months ago, and in that time, she'd taken, I think, a couple of leave days, like 3 or 4, because she was struggling with her mental health. And this day, she called in sick again to say, like, listen, I need like a day. I'm not feeling well. And her boss called her to say, oh, I've heard that you've called in sick again. And she was like, yes, because I've got allocated sick days and I'm using them because I'm sick. And the boss goes like, oh, just okay, like we get that. But I mean, you do understand you still are under probation and it's not a good look for you to be taking sick days while you're still in probation. So it's just, and then she just resigned on the call. But the point is like, people shouldn't feel ashamed, especially women. Like we have this thing where people expect us to be so resilient all the time.
Yes.
And when we get things like sick days where it's, intended for us to use, people are so shocked that we take time for ourselves. That needs to stop. Like, I hate that.
I actually can't believe that it's still it's such a big thing when people want to take a mental health day. It's just, and then a lot of companies will be like, no, that must come from your annual leave. But it's like my mental health is also my health. It's not like physical health.
Exactly, it's your health. And for the average person, I think we get 25 days of sick leave.
There and
I think
thereabouts. Every
thereabouts is like the standard according to like labor law, which I think we like abide by, whatever. I don't think the average person uses all those days for physical illness, because I never do. So
only
why could we
every
not?
days.
Yeah, so why can we not use it for, mental illness?
I'm gonna try it.
Definitely try it.
I'm gonna try it. Not like anytime soon, but like if I'm having like a real like down day, or I'm like just exhausted. I'm gonna ask them if I can just call in sick, like for my mental health. I'm gonna see, because I'm not trying to like test our company or anything, but also a part of me is. So let's see.
Which I think is a good thing, because if anyone's met with resistance, it's the perfect opportunity to have those conversations. To say like, why do you think it's an issue?
And also, what we can do better for women in the workplace, just women in society, maybe.
I think, like I know earlier I referred to someone, a colleague of mine, that was, I think, treated unfairly in a situation regarding her children.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big part of her getting through that and being able to stand up to, the powers that be in that scenario is having a support system, be it at work or outside of work, but people who fully comprehend and have context of your situation to give you advice, to make sure you're not being gaslighted by the company that you're working for, your boss that has influence over you, a male colleague that's being shitty as per usual. As long as you keep speaking about it, don't internalize it and be ashamed of yourself because you feel like, oh, well, maybe I should be smiling, and maybe I shouldn't leave at 2:00 on Friday for Gertjie's concert or whatever. Don't internalize it. Speak to other women. Like, even if you think it's silly, speak to them. I promise you, 90% of the time, they'll turn to you and say, I feel the same way, or I know of a similar situation. Yes. That's what I've realized, because Kelly, shame, I've been all day, every day. We talk about things all the time that we encounter in our personal lives and with work. And if you have that relatability, it takes away this feeling of isolation, like you have to deal with something by yourself. And in the end, you just succumb to, like, it could be as serious as discrimination in the workplace, because you feel like no one else has gone through it. You are the problem, So that's what I would say is, something to do. Find a community that you can confide in and be and feel safe in. I'm
going to echo what you said, but I'm going to put it in a different context. The finding a community thing. I'm loving how, well, this was pre-pandemic. I'm sure it's all moved online now. But I love how there are now more networking events for women to meet other women in like the working world. And you can literally be like, you can be a secretary at the GP up the road, or you could be like someone who runs their own company, and there are these networking events that will bring all the women together, and you can network with one another. I think the one is called She Says, and it happens in like different regions, and there was another one that I can't think of right now. So my advice is, if you are a career woman and you are aspiring to grow in your career and you're looking to be inspired by other women who are doing the same or similar things as you, look up these events and join those communities, because it won't only highlight like success stories, but it will also highlight how like some people have failed along the way and then have made something of that failure. And it's just a group of like-minded people who, if you talk to them, you'll realize you aren't the only one who's like struggling in your career, or you aren't the only one that had like a failure in whatever department. So in a similar way, find those communities, join those communities, and as women in the workplace and women in the world, you'll feel less alone in your ambitions and what you're trying to do.
100%. That is, I agree. I think the other one is called Future Females.
Yes, that's right. That's there. Oh, yes. We actually interviewed someone from there, didn't we? Who did we interview in the?
I think you're talking about Stacey.
Yes, I'm talking about Stacey.
It's called Skills Exchange.
Skills Exchange. Thank you. Well, I feel like that is a nice positive note to end it on. And
Absolutely.
we can round things off right here. And if anyone has anything else they want to share, you know where to hit us up. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Brown Girls Guide Pod and on Twitter at BGG Pod. And you can email us on info@browngirlsguide.co.za.
Thank you so much again, guys, for listening. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
In 2 weeks' time, for sure. But we'll chat soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.